This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy!
Thanks for checking out 90 for Chill, the podcast. This is where I like to give our context and trigger warnings. And this week, we're pretty inoffensive. We do get an apology from my guest for his last F-bomb on the show. And I will acknowledge that I let the F-bomb slip in this episode, which of course will be censored. Otherwise, we do go on a little tangent about, as my good friend Stephanie Smith would say, talking about shades of vanilla when it comes to slurs towards white people. It's brief. It has some fun moments, I think. Regardless, if you're Italian or Irish, you might take offense. I apologize for that. If anything, I've been punched in the face in a wrestling ring for dropping that before. It's classic Hobbit stuff. Potato. All that said, we'll save the Allie's Accessory Shop on Etsy review for the middle of the show, and we'll get right to the action.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
And welcome to 90 for Chill, the podcast. I am your host. At CatBuzzRuss is my Twitter handle, and what my fellow podcasters know me best as. If you want to follow what I'm watching, you can do that on Letterboxd. The username is CMDarth. The handle I tried my best to get over. And if you need to have a hands-free option, you can ask your Google Nest or your Amazon Echo device to play Podcast by Russ Stevens, and that should get you to the show. And this week, my guest, a returning guest, as stated in my context warning, is Andrew Teeny, Couchman Bakes on TikTok, and we discussed the 1992 Try Hard and perhaps Steven Seagal's best feature, Under Siege. It's a fun dynamic for me with Andrew this week because he's a military guy. I get to throw some misconceptions I have and, just talk about fallacies from the movie in regards to the action and violence, the gunplay, what have you, and how, Aikido doesn't work like that. But we all know Steven Seagal's a hoax, allegedly. We're going to have a lot of fun with that, though. So, let's get to the finer points. If you want to be on the podcast, send an email to rustthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com. Offer me a movie, a theme, a director, an actor. And as long as we focus on sub 100-minute material, I think we'll have a slice of fried gold. With this episode, we do talk a bit about how we have figured a way to bust the algorithm, I said. I guess it's not really an algorithm, math, kind of this Chinese algebra stuff, which we go on a tangent about as well, on how to do longer movies without doing longer movies. So, something to keep in mind. Pay a little attention, and I think we're all going to learn something today. Thanks for coming to the 90 for Chill, the podcast. Rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast apps, and enjoy your show.
It was the final voyage of America's mightiest battleship.
What's on this helicopter?
This little sweetheart, Miss July 89.
God, I love this business. I love you.
The party was wild.
Love you to death.
They really knocked them dead. Imagine this arsenal of tactical nuclear weapons falling into the wrong hands. The Pentagon never did.
4 minutes ahead of schedule. Damn, I'm good.
Now, a team of terrorists have taken over.
Wake up the president.
But there's just one thing they didn't count on. The cook.
Are you like some special forces guy or something?
No, I'm just a cook.
Oh my god, we're gonna die.
This is not the work of a cook.
I want you to coordinate your efforts with us.
Yes, sir.
I see that you completely disobeyed my orders.
Roger that.
Ryback is an ex-SEAL. Expert in martial arts, explosives,
Stand back!
weapons and tactics.
I also cook.
The Nimitz is tracking 2 Tomahawks just launched from the Missouri. Where are they headed? Honolulu.
Happy trails.
Steven Seagal.
I know you, don't I?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Been a long time.
I'll see you in hell, sailor boy!
Under Siege.
All right, super eerie series says we're ready to go.
It's like series mom or something.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, definitely boomer vibes.
Word.
Yeah, so all right, so this is 90 for Chill, the podcast, and we are probably going to discuss, I don't know if it's the best Steven Seagal movie.
It's considered the most successful because
Yes.
it had a large cast, the best Rotten Tomatoes score, and it was the only Steven Seagal movie to ever be nominated for an Academy Award.
I didn't go and look that far in the IMDb, so we got a sound editing or
I got this information from a YouTube video. They didn't mention it, but I would have figured it'd be something along the lines of sound editing or production design.
right, yeah. Which I don't know how much credit you get for production design. You're shooting it on a retired boat.
Well, they shot on multiple boats. They
Okay.
shot it some on soundstage. So it was kind of making it all seem like one cohesive boat.
Oh, if only Lonely Island was around for this time. All right. So if you haven't caught on, Under Siege is the feature. And I guess I would say it's probably the best. I mean, I have a soft spot for Marked for Death just because of how ridiculous that movie gets.
I can see that. I have a soft spot for Above the Law.
And is that the one where he's out of the coma, or is that
No, that was like Above the Law is like his first real movie, I guess.
Okay.
And it's basically the Steven Seagal biopic.
All right.
Because the character of Nico Tescalani, I believe is his name.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to think of all, like, because he had a solid trilogy before Under Siege. I mean,
his very first movie started the trend that would hold true for most Steven Seagal movies. He's a fill in the blank that used to be a fill in the blank.
Right.
Usually CIA.
Yes. Let me get in here. Oh gosh, please don't screw up my search history because I haven't actually typed in Steven Seagal while doing any research on this. I mean, it's bad enough he's a Steven who spells it the correct way, and we all know. I mean, that's a big thing of mine. It's just like, no. PH, there's no other word in the English language where PH comes off as a V. I mean, it could be.
I've never thought of that, and I'm related to 3 Steves who all spell it differently.
Oh, geez. Okay, come on. Okay, geez. So, but needless to say, the guest is returning. One Andrew TD, the Couchman Bakes on Twitter, and is that the TikTok as well, or is that
just the Couchman on TikTok?
Okay. All right. Okay, so yeah, just open up the Chrome app. Okay, there we go. And imdb.com. So, good start to the new year so far. Still keeping up the streak that you were discussing on Twitter.
Yeah, still working on that one. That has not been broken.
Right.
I've used my herbal supplements every day this year.
Oh, very good. Yep.
I do want to do a quick apology as well. I actually re-listened to our previous podcast with Big Trouble in Little China,
Mhm.
and you were so proud of yourself. You're like, "Oh, I had to edit one cuss word," and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, "Oh, I wonder who did that." Fast forward about an hour later, and I'm dropping f bombs.
Yeah.
So sorry about
Well,
that.
truth be told, there was like I think George got away with a few underneath, but with
Mm,
having the extra person on, certain audio is always going to get
sure.
put underneath. So let's see. Yep, above the law. So the known four on the top four are on deadly ground, which is
Oh,
wait, that was the ultimate vanity project, which I think
I believe you're right.
torpedoed his career, which is sad because it's got a great cast along. I mean,
That's the
almost.
thing. A lot of his movies had decent cast.
Oh yeah, well, as I say, Marked for Death's my second favorite, and that's got Keith David,
Yeah.
um, Joanna Pacula, I think is her
Mhm.
name. Yep, from Tombstone.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, I tried setting that up. I mean, as I say, I'm kind of looking for a co-host, for at least 2 episodes a month. And it's like, all right,
Yeah.
the Cosmatos thing. That's the way we
Yes.
get to the journey of Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. Probably, I'd say Val Kilmer's best performance. I just,
Yeah, I think I would have to say it's definitely. I can't think of too
it's
many
his
others
most
that.
memorable, I
Yes.
think.
Like the only other one that kind of comes close to me, I will never apologize for being an apologist for this movie. I like The Saint.
I've never actually gotten around to that one.
The the, the plot is ridiculous.
Oh well, I mean, this was the weird time where we were adapting every
Mhm.
British TV show from the '60s
But
into a movie.
yeah, the plot is ridiculous, but I don't think the cast got that memo because they were all throwing out gold.
Oh right. So the other one I was looking for when he was in the coma, and it's a little too, I mean,
That
heartstringy stuff
that was
is hard to
probably
kill.
that was probably the most ridiculous one,
I mean,
but
great,
still
great,
but still a banger.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, great fight scenes, like especially the pool
Yes.
scene. So and then yeah, he did On Deadly Ground, and then I think we all suddenly smelled what a con
We
artist he.
yeah, we well yeah, because this was also not too long before he did that ridiculous reality show of his. Do you remember that?
Steven Seagal Lawman, where I think
Oh
he.
yes. Yeah, because I made my living in the movies. But for the last 35 years I've been a policeman down in Louisiana.
Yeah, you're from Lansing, man. I was reading
Yeah.
his auto,
Like, bro, you're not even like Detroit don't even want you. You're from Lansing.
yeah, I mean, and never mind, like I've watched there used to be a series on HD Net, now Access TV, called the Voice Versus, which was interviews done by their mixed martial arts play guy, the voice Michael Chavello,
Okay.
which I love. Like I loved his commentary work until he tried doing professional wrestling once, and then
Yeah.
granted, it wasn't the Lucha Underground episode he did to fill in for Vampiro when he was facing
Yes.
Penta. This was like,
Which I love that storyline, by the way.
oh yes. It was it was the annual New Year's show. Inoki. It used to be Inoki Bombaye,
Mhm.
and then it became it got taken over by the Dream MMA group, and I think they still do
Okay.
it somewhere. I don't know. Maybe that was where they did. I mean, I know it was a Noah show, but it was New Year's Day when they did
Yeah.
Muda
Tokyo
versus
Dome.
Nakamura.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Tokyo Dome is that's Wrestle Kingdom. That's its own thing. That's on the
Oh.
4th of January every year.
Oh, okay. I got those mixed up.
Yeah. Yeah. So when Dream went under, I think actually Glory.
Yeah, it was Noah because that's
Yeah.
when Nakamura had his match last week. Yeah, it was with Noah.
Okay. Yeah, I know it was with no. I'm just saying that like when it was actually like a K1 Dream hybrid show.
Okay.
And Inoki had when Inoki got ran out of NJPW. Because he was basically telling all his wrestlers, and like Nakamura has a 6-6 MMA record, and he probably doesn't want anybody to remember that.
Yeah.
Of course, in Japan, that's where they had Alberto El Patron as Dos Caras Jr. fight Mirko Cro Cop in his lucha mask. It was not a long fight.
No, I've seen the YouTube video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think we actually ordered that Pride. So,
oh wow.
Yeah. Or we were always picking up the DVDs. I mean, that was before obviously before the Ultimate Fighter and all that.
Right.
So yeah, but I'm just now looking over Seagal's filmography, and it's like, yeah, he just dropped. Like, I mean, we do.
And then he had kind of like almost a second rebirth of his career in the early 2000s, where he started doing movies with rappers.
Yes, Exit Wounds is another of the top 4 listed. Yeah, he had Exit Wounds. Ticker had Half Past Dead, which I think was with Shannon Lee, the daughter of Bruce.
That does ring a bell.
Belly of the Beast. I think that one I think is one when it's like he had 3 movies and it's like back to direct to DVD. And then he almost turned it around about 2010, I'd say, because he was in Machete as the villain.
Yeah, and I'm still not convinced he knew he was in that movie.
There's a good chance about that. Yeah. I mean, but I guess if you team him with, I don't know. I don't want to go further through his IMDb, because maybe if you team him back up with Danny Trejo, because you had
yeah, with the Machete connection, but
and you had Marked for Death. It was the opening.
I guess in just the first Expendables alone.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of phone calls that his poor agent was making on a daily basis to try to get him in that movie. And then I think by the time they got to the third one, they basically just blocked any number coming from anyone real close to him.
Right.
Because dude, no, we are not touching this.
Yeah, it's just
we'll bring back Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Right.
That's about as far as we're going, Bubba.
Well, it's interesting with JVCD. I'm sorry, JCVD. There was have you seen the movie JCVD?
I have not.
Oh,
I want to.
Yes.
I want to make sure I have plenty of supplements to give me the help I need to get through that movie.
It's not. It's a solid movie. I mean,
I've heard that, but I think with something just as the whack ass plot that movie has,
yes,
I'm gonna want the extra sensory to enjoy.
Right. With that said, since did on the Rare Exports episode of 90 for Chill, it was with Seven Seas, who's a host on the No on 15 podcast, the No on 15 all cast, which is like, I mean, they're just going for nerdiness. I mean, because
I have partaken in a few episodes of that. We follow. I believe we follow each other on the Twitter thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's wonderful.
Right. So, but I know he's up in the Chicago land area. So I opened that episode with a shot of Malort. So get that out of the way.
Oh, you brave soul.
Well, it's as I said on that. It's part of the. That's how I knew I was officially part of the Chicago wrestling scene. I had the respect of the likes of your Eddie Kingston's and well, I don't know, Eddie wouldn't touch that shit, but the local guys. Eddie was on the show, is about on every show there, but my story with Eddie Kingston is more or less like once we did this one show in Peoria, which was a vanity show for a guy, one of the Peoria Promotions friends who would drive up from St. Louis every week just to find a place where he could work. And he got into a lot of money, so he did a free show. Like, we only probably had 20 people in the building, but you had Eddie Kingston, Nigel McGuinness, Shark Boy,
wow,
Jimmy Jacobs, Tyler Black, which
wow.
Well, okay. Tyler Black I eventually ended up training with. Danny Daniels is the big connection. And Eddie Kingston, Claudio Castagnoli,
and 20 people showed up, huh?
Yeah. No, he didn't promote it. He just wanted to make a tape and sell it. This was
because even back then, those guys were enough of a draw to get more than 20.
Not in Peoria. Peoria was a shit
place. Let me rephrase that. In the proper market.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that even goes for IWA. Like, Ian would always run low rent buildings in the middle of nowhere. And he might draw 100, but he's making all his money on the DVD.
I've heard that from the Tuttles as well.
Yes. I knew. Was with the Tuttles up in Chicago for AAW. Good guys. So we're in the locker room, and Danny notices my Cubs tattoo. That was kind of my trademark. Like, my Cubs tattoo on the left shoulder. Like, whenever somebody's wondering if it's me from another show, like, they just start tugging up on the t-shirt sleeve. Hey, yeah. But it was like, this is 2005, just before all the ECW comeback tribute shows,
right?
And Eddie was asking Danny, so they got you on any of those comeback shows, since Danny Daniels was the network official referee. No, how they can do that without the most legendary referee? And I just shot out of the corner of my mouth, you mean HC Loke?
And it's a deep cut for the wrestling nerds.
Yes. And then Danny gave me the shit eye, the side eye for that. And eventually I trained under him, and regrettably, the only man I'm really I may have disappointed my father a few times, but otherwise the only other man oh shoot, battery running low on the PC. So I think the cat may have knocked the cord out. Bear with me a moment.
No problem.
Okay.
That's okay. That's okay. Your cat tried to sabotage, and I have a pit bull snoring like a diesel engine behind it.
Yeah. I don't know with her. I think she I got a sick kitty, which is actually as I like to call him, the bastard cat, Skimble. He was
refresh my memory. How many do you have?
Just the 2 living with me.
Okay.
And
I can't remember if it was 2 or 3.
No. Skimble was my ex-girlfriend's cat, and when we moved out, like, oh, could you take him in, and I'll pay the pet fees and everything. All right, you'll take him to the vet too, and he hasn't seen the vet in 2 years, but so I think he got sick, and then Ava eventually noticed, oh, it's a weak kitten. Not kitten, he's 8, but basically she decided to take over the house. And
of course.
Yeah, and he's just hiding in a laundry basket. I mean, he seems pretty chill, but so that's the deep cut wrestling wise, as I said, and that was from the Malort, and that was just like talking about substances. So it's all right. We're back to track.
It's all relative.
So I got the movie playing in my peripheral, and I say this movie, and I haven't seen Above the Law. I hate to say it, but this movie is the first time where I think they actually try making Steven Seagal a likable character off the get-go.
And the funny thing with that is, yes, he is likable-ish off the get-go, but I love how in the opening scene of the movie, like, they don't want you to forget that we're dealing with Steven Seagal.
Yes.
He is on a ship full of about 1,000 people. They're all wearing their dress white uniforms. Not only is he not in the dress whites, he's in the Steven Seagal uniform,
the all black,
the leather with the shoulders and the black pants. You could tell they just did his hair to get his ponytail off, but still his hair was still way out of regulations. I'm a military guy, so I noticed.
So I actually got it. Like that's another reason. Like, I want you on the podcast because it's like I see one scene where like I get thrown off by like, all right, did those machine guns they waste the private with, were those suppressors on them? Because it looked like if they were subbed, you wouldn't need that long portion on it, and they're making full blown noise. No, whispering.
They did it to look cool.
Okay,
but yeah, you gotta remember this was the early '90s. We're just coming out of the heyday of '80s action movies.
Yes,
so it's still kind of cool too. If you're adding something to a weapon system, it makes it cooler and more badass.
Right.
Never mind the fact that we're not using it properly.
Well, never mind, a suppressor doesn't work anyhow.
Yeah.
Like, I think they'd say best it's the sound of a heavy book hitting the floor.
Yeah, what I will say, why I like suppressors and why I like to use them. My hearing sucks as is.
Yes.
So I would rather deal with a buh than a buh, you know?
Okay. All right. So that's probably the best description I've ever heard of the suppressor. And because I watch a lot of YouTube videos from Simon Whistler. He's got a bunch of channels. So there's so let's see. But yeah, I'm just saying when you look at Marked for Death, he's obviously like, oh, he's the regrettable DEA agent. And he's
But I kind of like it. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and it's basically, you're going to just please have pity on the man. He realizes what a piece of shit he is.
But where I was going with, you tell right off the bat we're dealing with Steven Seagal and he's trying to be likable with the whole wardrobe thing.
Yeah.
But the second he...
Oops. You hear me? Because I think somebody's...
Sorry.
Okay.
But no, like the second that he gets paired with the character Jordan Tate, a female, he kind of turns into a dick.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Well, I mean, I guess you could say this is the early 90s where, it makes sense that there's only one woman on a boat.
Well, sure.
On a vessel, but, and it was still the machismo thing,
Oh, yeah. Well, you can even tell in some of her lines, it was guys writing an action, males writing an action script, writing dialogue for a female, even with the lines she was saying.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to my friend Stephanie. She was always going on about hating Death Proof. Not necessarily for the story or the structure, just that, no, this is not how women don't talk like this. And like, okay, I'll give you that, but at least you're not talking like women in a movie.
Right. Like the dialogue with that movie, yes, it was real dialogue, but again, you could definitely tell it was written by a dude coming out of a female's mouth.
Right. Yeah, but I'm just saying
dialogue, but it would have been, I think, cooler dialogue if it was three dudes in a car saying this.
Right. Yes. He didn't change his approach to writing. He just, I guess you could say, gender neutral characters. So in a sense, there you go. Progressive 10 years beforehand. Yeah, but that is something though. The Jordan Tate character, Erica Laniak, I think is how it's pronounced.
Yes, and I'm going to point out the obvious. Erica Laniak was Miss July 1989.
Yep.
In the wonderful publication known as Playboy.
Mm-hmm.
And then she ends up playing a character named Jordan Tate, who in this universe was Miss July 1989. Now, but it gets funnier. In the show Baywatch in 1996, there is a character introduced as Jordan Tate. This is relevant because from 89 to 92, Erica Laniak was in Baywatch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, by the time we get to 96, Tracy Bingham plays Jordan Tate. Tracy Bingham, also a Playboy playmate.
Yeah, well, that was kind of, I think Yasmin Bleeth was the only one who didn't.
Yeah, I think she was the only one who's...
Alexandra Paul. Also,
but
yeah.
like with the exception of those two, like pretty much everyone else, I would have to be able to like identify them by their breast in a lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But with Erica Laniak and Jordan Tate in this, it's like, I think back to all of the action movies, I guess, well, and I guess it's kind of appropriate. Like you didn't really have like the bombshell female protagonist. I guess you could say Roadhouse with Kelly Lynch, who I believe is a former Mrs. Seagal.
She's definitely a former Mrs. Action star.
Yeah.
And I think Seagal might be the dude.
You're right.
But yes. It's funny you mentioned that movie because I was about to say when it comes to Jordan Tate, Erica Laniak, I turned 10 in 1992.
Right. I was 12.
About 2-3 years later, I discovered this movie on VHS called Under Siege.
Mm-hmm.
And I also had a VHS of Roadhouse. So those two women are responsible for my awakening into godhood.
Yes. Right. Yeah, no, it's no, I guess it's not Kelly Lynch. No, I think it's the chick from sorry. I think it is the
yes, Kelly Block from Weird Science.
Yes.
That's Mrs. Seagal.
Seagal, yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, and as I say, like you like all the like I guess I could go Rambo 2, Julian Nichols as the
but you're right, there wasn't a lot of bombshells, or even in the case of this movie, bombshell sidekicks.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. It's like you do get that. Well, no, they replaced that with Morris Chestnut for the sequel.
Yeah. They had Katherine Heigl in the movie as well.
Oh, have you seen those clips about Katherine Heigl saying meeting Steven Seagal for the first time?
Like, no, I've never seen them, but I've heard they are something.
Yeah. Oh, I've got girlfriends your age. I think that's illegal. No, they don't seem to mind.
Yeah, because she was what, 16
or so? Yeah.
And she was playing a like 16 to 18-year-old.
Yeah, right.
Somewhere in there. I don't know if I can't remember if they said, but somewhere in there.
No, Dark Territory is still fun, but it's really just
well,
because you had some.
See, they make the comparison of Die Hard on a boat for
right. Oh no, I wrote down an entire list of tryhards I've seen.
But see, I don't think that's an insult for that movie.
Yeah,
to call it Die Hard on a boat. Now, by the time you get to Die Hard on a train, Under Siege 2, that's an insult.
Right. But I mean, there's still a lot of things to like about that. I mean, you got that creepy guy from The Mask as a sidekick.
Yeah.
I mean, the entire dropping Morris Chestnut dropping a woman off a helicopter is like, whoa, that's just crazy. That just seemed crazy. Eric Bogosian
I actually forgot that was Morris Chestnut.
Yeah.
I forgot that's who he would become.
Right. Eric Bogosian is a villain, as a action movie villain. And it's like just so many. It's a bad movie, but there's just so many things to.
Yeah, I mean, well, they thought, hey, we made a lot of money with this pretty decent movie.
Yeah,
let's make a sequel and just try to make a cash grab.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, especially this was, I think again, On Deadly Ground immediately derailed that film anyhow.
Well, plus it has. I think also that has to do a little bit with the studio as well. This was the late '90s, and Warner Brothers landed. Yeah. We all know they were just trying to do anything they could to make themselves more money. That's when they started buying DC and in the AOL.
Well, I think they actually owned DC I think all the way, because it was Mad Magazine story where no, it was a Mad Magazine parody of Superman 3, and they talk about the video game bit where they're trying to stop Superman. Oh, this looks like Atari, which is owned by Warner Brothers, and who's DC owned by?
Well, Warner Brothers has always owned the DC film rights. I don't think that they didn't actually buy like DC Comics as a publishing company until somewhere in the '90s, I believe.
That could be true. It's just that they always had the rights, I suppose. It makes it you never. like you can't think of a DC. I mean, no other studio got to make a DC movie, while Marvel, I mean, went bankrupt in the late '90s, and we're selling their rights to everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
That's why we have so many. That's why we have soon to be a third version of Fantastic Four in less than 25 years.
Right, and probably more of a fourth version when you really look at it, because that was more of just I haven't seen Multiverse of Madness, but then I see that and Scarlet Witch goes nuts. Okay, why didn't they just put that right on the poster? Like, because I'm so busy trying to catch up with the series. It's
right.
I'm 4 movies behind. I'm not going to go to the theater if I'm 4 movies behind.
Well, I had heard like 6 months beforehand that she was possibly going to be an antagonist.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't thinking she was going to be the antagonist, but I figured she would, there'd be some beef and whatever, but yeah.
But yeah, I'm just so like I still got to see, like, I mean, I've so far I can't say I've seen a bad Marvel TV series yet, and I've seen Loki.
You would be in the minority because everybody loves to complain about those things.
Oh, I didn't have any problem with Loki. I didn't have any problem with WandaVision. I liked the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And then once they bring Julia Louis-Dreyfus in, it's like, huh. And then I'm like, oh, she's in Black Widow. Yes. Damn it.
Okay. Yeah, they're moving her around. She's something.
Yeah.
She's almost like this phase's Nick Fury.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but those are the only 3 I've watched. And, I mean, I don't know how they're going to do a second season of Loki. Like,
those are the only ones that didn't get subjugated to the hate that would come with later.
Once, like, I heard nothing but good, like, critically good things about Miss Marvel. And then
then you have the internet boys,
right? Boys, emphasis.
Oh, I said what I said.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So let's see. Back to the undersea.
Now, when you talk about a Steven Seagal flick, the main thing you need to talk about is not the acting; it's the fight scenes.
Yes.
Well, I will admit I enjoy a lot of Steven Seagal fight scenes. I would like to publicly say Aikido, at least in the form that Steven Seagal does, is complete bullpucky.
Yes. No, you can't. So I'm in the galley right now. He's already knifed the first guy.
Oh, we'll get to
the knife. He's about to knife the first guy.
We'll get to the knife stuff here in a bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the knife fighting. this is the throwing knife bit.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm fine with the throwing knife bits.
Yes. Oh,
the fighting bits, however, but
yes. So yeah, it's like, no, all you have to do is shoot a double leg takedown.
Yeah, like Aikido is such a goofy. Like, I know there are forms of actual Aikido that is valid, but not that stuff. Not the Seagal stuff.
No, it's not.
It's not even trying to be judo.
No, I mean it's at best it's like lazy man Tai Chi.
That's the best way I've ever heard. Yes, that is the new way of saying Aikido, lazy man Tai Chi.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna grab something. No, it's grab and move. It's like
it also the way he does it's like he barely even makes the effort to grab something.
Yeah, it's like somebody's
the laziest push, but the guy will go flying 10 feet.
Yes. No,
like he even does his own stuff lazy.
Oh yeah, and that goes back to the voice versus Michael Chavello. The voice versus Steven Seagal, and it's like, all of Seagal's bullshit about growing up in Japan.
Yeah,
I mean, becoming the first gaijin,
and you have basically just said the first 3 minutes of Above the Wall.
Yes,
like I said, they basically took Steven Seagal's story,
right,
and made it the back character story for the guy who's playing.
And
then made the CIA crap and all that stuff.
Right. So, and the only person who seems to stand up for Seagal stories is Frank Dukes.
Yeah.
So that's
imagine 13-year-old me. I'm, playing around on a computer, and I just start looking up something about the movie I saw last night, which I love the movie Bloodsport.
Oh,
I still love the movie Bloodsport.
Yes. No, Colt Cabana, whenever he does a training seminar, that's how you sell. You do exactly like Chong Li.
I've heard that he's made reference to that movie.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, but imagine how I feel when I wait, he made all that shit up?
Well, I'd say on the voice versus Frank Dukes, it actually goes back to an old Joey Styles New Jack story for me.
Okay.
Where Joey Styles basically says, I pretty much learned to listen to everything and only believe half of it. So when people say New Jack's killed 4 people justifiably, that means he's killed at least 2.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say about Frank Dukes. It's like, no, your losses are total bullshit. Like, I guess he got the famous UFC 1, a guy got into the tournament basically by beating up Frank Dukes that week.
Wow.
And Dukes said, "Oh, I got jumped at an autograph signing. I'm blind in one eye anyhow." It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, because we all saw him throw that powder in your eye.
Which, honestly, salt is one of those weird things because, like, you can go underwater, you can go in salt water and not have a problem because it's what your tears are made of.
Right. It's basically just the biggest, most concentrated vat of saline you've ever been in your life.
Right. So it's like, yeah, I've never really. Of course, it looks cool wrestling wise. It's not like I haven't done a powder spot.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So it's but it's the worst thing is, like, there's always somebody who's allergic to baby powder. And they don't tell you that before you do the powder spot.
And I always think that wrestling should thank the movie Bloodsport because, again, I was a little kid the first time I saw this movie. So, like, the fact that, this is a true story, he had that thrown in his eye, it really hurt, made me believe even more when the powder spot would happen in wrestling.
Yes.
So, until I grew brain cells.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, what I'm saying is, like, with Frank Dukes, like, he still performed the coin trick to Chevello. Okay. So I mean, I'm not saying I want to meet the guy in a dark alley.
Sure. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm sure at even at age he's got to be like 70 by now.
Something. Yeah. I mean,
he was probably still put a thumping on me.
Yeah. But
I'm not calling him a wuss or anything like that. It's just like, dude.
Yeah, he knows he's a badass. He knows he's a badass. But basically,
the Kumite never happened. Homie.
Yeah. Well, basically, he can make up all this bullshit because
it's like winning the Intercontinental title in a tournament in Rio de Janeiro,
Brazil, which makes no sense because it should have just been a unification match. I mean, because because he was the North American champion.
Right. Well, it's just funny because, like, there's been a bunch of tournaments in wrestling since. I know, like, OVW and Dave did it. I know some other places have done it. Whenever a new title just shows up on a wrestler, I did a tournament in Rio de Janeiro.
That was the old territories anyhow.
Yeah.
Like, if you could come into a new territory with a new championship belt,
right,
and say, I won it in Memphis.
But yeah, I've heard the tournament in Rio many times over the years.
Oh yeah, it's so, but with all of this, we're to the point where Tommy Lee Jones is communicating with I couldn't tell if it was the Pentagon or if it was Honolulu or.
I think it's supposed to be more like maybe even Langley.
Okay, yeah, but
it's some big important war room.
Yes.
And I want to apologize, listeners, that we've made it this long without talking about the gem in this movie that is Tommy Lee Jones.
That's actually what I was. That's why I'm looking through my notes. It's like, oh shit.
And we haven't even mentioned Gary Busey either. Like,
Oh
we'll get to
yeah,
that too.
Gary Busey's like I tried going through his IMDb, and he works so much. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, but you know him best for his crazy roles, which is unfair because he was Buddy Holly.
But he also has traumatic head injury issues and a love of cocaine.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, I've
career.
heard enough Jake Busey stories of growing up through not Nonicon, but whatever it is for family members of addicts. Which kind of makes me think of the Renfield trailer, but
I want to see that.
Oh, yeah.
When they do the reveal of who's playing Dracula, it's just
Well, we all knew who it was going to be. It was still.
Well, see, I had seen the picture of him playing Dracula, but I'd forgotten about it.
Yeah.
So when I watched the trailer, actually just this morning,
I
was like, okay, cool. Oh, we're kind of seeing Dracula. Like, are we going to address Dracula? And all of a sudden, there he is.
Yeah, no, and it's a good joke for vampire fans because it's like, oh yes, I don't know why you said a higher, full power or phrase it like that, but yes. Oh, here comes another one. Come on in. No.
and the fact that it's this actor, and I've made this comment already once this episode, I'm not sure he knows he's in a movie.
Nicolas Cage or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's tough. Like, it's either Cage is the ultimate actor or he is genuinely insane, and owning a cave bear skull kind of puts you in the latter.
And the sad part is I actually think he's both.
Yeah. No, he's
I think he's a brilliant actor, but he has moments of insanity, like most creative people.
Right. The fine line between madness and genius.
Exactly. And he's crossed that line so long ago.
Right. But this really goes back to Tommy Lee Jones. Like, was this the groundwork for Two-Face?
I definitely believe so. People kind of forget that he has like acting chops and that he just doesn't always have to be grumpy old dude.
Yeah. Oh no, that kind of just became the thing after The Fugitive, I think.
Yeah, well, he did The Fugitive wonderfully.
Yeah.
And I even like the sequel.
I have not seen U.S. Marshals. I know
U.S. Marshals, that's it.
I know a lot of people
it's not bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a mid-late 90s action flick.
Well, and you're coming off a Best Picture nominated
and this thing was just straight action movie. It wasn't the suspense, it wasn't the drama. It was an action movie. Again, great cast in this movie.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes, Robert Downey Jr., Joey Pants.
Yeah. And even the people like whose names you don't know, they're all, hey, that guy.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the Ringers rewatchable podcast. It's the Joey. It's the Joey Pants Award for the best that guy.
There's a lot of great character actors whose names you never remember.
Right.
It's the curse of a character actor, but you know their face and you can tell you 10 movies they've been in.
Oh, yeah. Nobody knows most people do not know Wes Study's name. But, yeah, it's... Hey, come on. It was Last of the Mohicans, guys.
Yeah, he's been in some bangers as well.
Yeah. And there's a funny story about Joey Pants talking about The Fugitive, working with... Harrison Ford, and like after he gets hit with basically a girder just straight out of Under Siege.
I want to talk about that in a minute too.
Yeah, and do you have like he does his scene and Harrison Ford's just walking over. You shouldn't be alive. What are you doing? You shouldn't be alive after that. Well, it's in case there's a sequel, man. Well, there isn't because I'm not going to be there. Well, we'll find some other asshole to chase.
And they found Wesley Snipes.
Yes. Yeah, if Wesley Snipes can get into the Expendables after all of his bullshit.
Well, he's also friends with Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, but
Sylvester Stallone and Seagal, to my knowledge, have no
I don't. Yeah,
relationship.
I don't know anybody who's friends with Seagal actor wise. No, not even like. I'm trying to think. Maybe Michael Jai White worked with him. It's like, no, I can't think of anything else.
I don't know if they ever did anything together.
Yeah, I mean, Jai White worked with Van Damme all the time in smaller roles.
Oh yeah, I think the first one he did was probably Universal Soldier: The Return.
Yeah. No, he was in the original Universal Soldier. He was the guy who found the bodies.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or he was in the first Vietnam scene.
Okay, but then so he was there in that, and then they brought him in to play as a villain.
Yeah.
And
Spawn was the movie that was supposed to make him a star, and oh god.
Well, again, as a teenager, I loved that movie.
Yeah, I didn't watch it as a teenager. John Leguizamo is great.
Sure, I mean
Michael Sheen. Not Michael Sheen. Martin Sheen is fun in what he's doing.
They said, Martin, this is scenery. Chew it.
Yep. But no,
Leguizamo was great. The CG sucked.
Yeah, I mean,
even for mid-late '90s standards.
Yeah,
But like I said, I liked it as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a 40-year-old man, I've seen it. I actually saw it within the last year and a half, I think, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like Leguizamo still holds up.
Yeah. And it just sucks as you're like, why did we even do this? We have the HBO. Well, nobody legally had HBO at the time. It was the 90s.
I better say, mine was fuzzy.
Yeah. But yeah, Tommy Lee Jones, like, it's just so, like, it's cool because, like, unlike Two-Face, where it's I'm always crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of want to think, oh, this guy has some genius to him.
Yeah, he's going in and out of genius and crazy, like we were talking.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this is true, but I have heard rumors that maybe him and Busey had one of their snow parties.
Okay.
I've heard for him to get as crazy as he went. Again, all rumor, but he might have played with a little bit of nose candy for some of the more intense scenes.
Mm-hmm. Like, and I just want to clarify right off the bat, he's the guy in Panama that got punched, right? Which cost Ryback his career.
No.
Because you get that bit at the right before the end. I know you. Yeah, I think you do.
They know of each other.
But he didn't really know anything about Ryback until he started. Until the bomb bit.
See, I think the first time, just like in the crappy sequel, they did the same trick twice. I think the second he hears that name, he's like,
the sequel, Ryback's become a legend for the Missouri.
Sure. Well, but I mean, even amongst like the special ops circles, because they had one, the main henchman was a special op guy.
Right. Yeah.
So it, among the special ops groups, of course, Bad Billy here, played by Tommy Lee Jones, would have probably heard about this guy in some capacity.
Okay, yeah. But, I mean, I love his interplay with Cole Meany. Cole Meany is underappreciated in this one.
Very much so. I mean, he's basically third in charge henchman.
Yeah.
Yeah, third in charge henchman.
Mm-hmm.
It's Tommy Lee Jones, Gary Busey, Cole Meany, the giant raw meat eating guy.
Yeah.
And then the little nerd with the glasses that did all the computer work.
Yeah, I know his last name is Jones, and like it does, like his IMDb, it shows him in a period piece clothing, and I know he's still alive, but it's like, could he have gotten that? Like, I didn't wiki it. Like, could he have gotten that from his like that's damn, Kelly Lynch still looks good. Oh
yes. I looked that up not too long ago.
Yes. There's a fun movie. I happen to like this. I get a very queer director, Greg Araki.
Okay.
He did like a lot of his movies are tough to find now because they were so indie, and probably a lot of musical rights issues like Doom Generation, Nowhere. Like the first movie I saw of his was called Splendor, which is about Kathleen Richardson and like stuck between two guys and like, you know what, I'm just going to live in a threesome. And I will say that helped me lose my virginity because I had a friend who was saying, oh, about her roommate, like, oh, she's playing this guy and this guy. It's like, oh, it sounds like a bad Kelly MacDonald movie. You've seen Splendor? You know Kelly MacDonald? All right.
Yeah, but that's the way it is when two movie nerds realize that they both like an obscure movie. It's just like the stars align.
Yes. All right. Tommy. Now, like I didn't know music at the time Under Siege came out, so
sure.
So I was very thrown off with the Tommy Lee, Pamela Anderson stuff.
Yeah,
like we're gonna watch that guy.
Yeah, that had to have been confusing and annoying and probably funny depending on who you asked.
Because
I'm sure if you asked Tommy Lee, he probably would have thought that was funny as shit.
Oh yeah. Like that's funny now, just being so old and being in the Midwest where you only get like music acts that are 5 to 10 years past their prime.
Oh yes.
Like I know everybody was making a big and it's now just nostalgia. So everybody's going to like stadiums to see Poison, Motley Crue, Def Leppard, Joan Jett. It's like I've seen them all in Peoria. Like I don't need to go.
I would go see a couple of those in a stadium only so I can know what it was like to be like guys my dad's age for a brief minute because like at one time I would be the old guy at the rock concert, but I'd also like, okay, what was it like when my dad was a young dude?
Right.
And because, I wouldn't give two craps about the music. I'd be like, hey, do you have herbal supplements?
I don't know. I had it was a weird thing last C2E2. Like that weekend I was flirting with this girl on Tinder who was in Muhammad and like, oh, I'm going to Chicago to see Elton John. And she came back with COVID, so it's like, well, I knew that you want to be in a place with a bunch of nerds because
yes,
we're not.
I need to go to C2E2. I've never gone.
Well, I'm working on trying to. I got to go and submit another attempt to get a panel for the podcast. Like,
sure.
How many times can they reject me? This has 1,300 listens, over 101 episodes, so 12 people, 12 people a podcast. But that's just the. That's just the feed information. I'm sure it's more because of how I set it all up. But
you can always keep trying, man.
Yeah. The worst thing though is like Podbean. I guess the deal I have with them, the package, they only let me have 100 episodes up on my major feeds. So I was trying. So
I've noticed that with a lot of them on Podbean. That's why I generally go with Spotify. But
Podbean feeds it to Spotify, and Spotify only puts me at 100 episodes.
Right.
And it's like
once you get involved with the bean,
so probably need to get to Anchor. That's why I need to get a new look for the show. Get a co-host. The alliteration alone, Cat Bus Russ and Couchman.
I am definitely down, dude.
All right.
I'm trying to beef up.
Yeah,
production on my show as well.
So, right. Yeah, it's like there is Blue Chew money out there.
Yes,
we just got to keep putting it.
Yes, I want to promote a gum that'll make men harder than Chinese algebra.
Oh gosh! Now that I actually stopped and thought about what Chinese algebra would look like, this is a kid who studied Mandarin for 2 years.
I heard that phrase when I was a teenager, and I've used it ever since. I just think it's the funniest thing on the planet.
Yeah, well, and as I say, and now I just really realize how funny it is being despite the fact I studied Mandarin for 2 years.
Right.
So let's see. Back to the notes. Yeah, so we got Now, I will give this movie credit because I'm a very anti-gun guy. Now, I
Sure.
love, I just, like, I grew up as a martial artist, boxer, professional wrestler, amateur wrestler. It's like,
Right. Firearms don't equal any equation.
yeah,
Whereas I grew up on a farm and joined the military.
mm-hmm.
I like pew pews.
Yes, no, and it's like, that's like, well, why don't you go to a range, Russ? And it's like, because I'm not going to get a Foyd card just to go and
Right. When I can
like, no, it's
I
like,
go to just about any gym around and go punch something.
right. But I acknowledge that you put that in my hand, I'm going to feel a hell of a lot more powerful.
Yeah.
Regardless of the fact that, 21-foot rule and like,
Sure.
there's it's like goes to the end before the climactic knife fight. It's like, Tommy, why are you getting within arm's reach of the guy? Like,
Have they done the fight in the corridor where all the workers are working?
no, we're just now getting the sat phone.
Okay, so we're there. Well, but they have shown scenes of them working with the metal and chopping up. Okay, I want to talk about that for a minute. Not only am I a military man, I am the son of a welder and I'm the grandson of a welder who's actually known worldwide for his talents. So when I watch this movie and see them cutting up metal beams with bandsaws.
Oh, that's like, I did catch that this time around because I remember the guy getting put through a bandsaw, but it's like,
and also the tools they like. Okay, so they'll use a welding rod to cut the thing in half, which would actually literally do the opposite. And two, they'll use a settling torch to fuse things together, which would actually in real life make them go apart.
Yeah.
You couldn't went down to any factory and found one dude with a beer belly and a prison record and say, hey, you know how to weld? Tell us how to do this so we don't look like dummies on a podcast in 30 years.
Mm-hmm. And then, what's a podcast will be the immediate response. But it's like, it's, I mean, it almost makes you think Flashdance is more realistic.
I find Flashdance to be incredibly realistic. I don't know what you're talking about.
Just going back to the full Monty where they're watching her weld. What do you know about welding?
Well, that I love that movie because it's a ridiculous premise. But you have these 5 or 6, blue collar dudes, a couple of them big burly boys.
Yeah.
So it's not Magic Mike. It's not
right.
all these
they basically
baby oiled.
The only reason they know they're going to sell out is because they're going to go the full Monty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's still a movie that holds up just because, especially for any kind of.
If it's a Mark Andy movie, I'm in.
Yeah. I don't know.
I love that guy.
I don't know. I could do without that. That Chris Rock one he was in.
Oh, I didn't think they were all good movies.
Okay,
I'm going to watch it.
Okay,
and just regret that he was in it later.
Yeah, like Down to Earth, I think was.
Yes, I believe that was that one.
Yeah, it was one of those
that was that period in the late '90s, early 2000s where they really just thought, hey, we could really make Chris Rock a movie star, not just a great stand-up comedian who does acting on the side.
Yeah, there's a reason why there's only Half-Baked on the filmography of. Well, I mean, Con Air, of course, but
yeah, I don't know. Chappelle has done some decent roles in some decent movies, though.
Yeah, but no,
he wasn't bad, and you wasn't bad, and you got mail.
No, he's not as. But we all somehow Hollywood knew. This is a supporting actor.
Yeah.
Dave
Chappelle will never be the leading dude. I definitely didn't want to imply that. It's one of my favorite lines from the documentary Beyond the Mat. He'll be Denzel's friend, but I don't see him being Denzel.
Yeah. Right. Which is kind of sad that nobody figured a way to give New Jack a Denzel to work with.
Yeah, because he would have been a good sidekick in an action movie. He'd have been a good villain in an action movie.
Well, I'm saying wrestling wise, like,
oh, that too, yeah,
yeah, like no, just I mean, yeah, I don't know if you could, if Paul Heyman could not talk you into like being a sidekick, you're not going to be a sidekick.
Yeah, and yeah, like, and that's the thing. Like, even when you look at opponents for New Jack, like the ones that show up in first in your head are the matches that went terribly wrong.
Yeah,
Vic Grimes, Gypsy Joe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at Beyond the Mat, you see him beating the hell out of Draws, and it's like, well, that's just bad. That's just coincidence. That of course something bad happened.
Yeah, that's a unfortunate foreshadowing that none of us knew.
Yeah. I think that's the only documentary I've gone to the theater to see. Like once it made it to Peoria, I was like, oh, I'm there for the 1 week it's going to be there.
Well, I again was fairly young when that came out. I was like 17, 18, somewhere in there. And I didn't have a car, didn't have a license, and the Monon Theater was never gonna, in Monon, Indiana, was never gonna have that movie. The closest it came to me was like 45 miles away in Lafayette, Indiana, and I had no way of getting there.
Right. So I
put in a special order with the local Blockbuster to buy me a copy of that shit.
Yeah. I was very Peoria. Peoria, like, really is what the rest of America is like. I mean, it's the biggest test market in the country because, like, we got enough poor people. We just have a speckling of minorities. Yeah, it just works. But it's the worst thing though is like, yeah, we test everything out for everybody, and then like, okay, it works here, let's go and put it on a big market, so we don't get to see it again for another 10 years.
Right.
But it was raspberry Pepsi when they marketed it here. Now it's cherry. I don't know what's up and down.
I forgot. I had heard about that. It's by the time it gets down my way, it's an urban legend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had forgotten about that.
Now available on video cassette.
I just met this girl named Buffy. I'm Pike.
Pike isn't a name, it's a fish.
I liked her, even though she seemed kind of flaky. But as it turns out...
You have been chosen, Buffy.
To do what?
To stop the vampires.
Does Elvis talk to you?
And things started getting weird around here.
Are we having a nightmare?
You threw a knife at my head.
And you caught it.
She was the one person I could really count on.
Kill him a lot.
Hi.
Hi. What are you doing here?
What am I doing here? I'm saving your butt.
That is a bad guy. Can we go, please?
The Slayer is unmasked. Let's finish it.
I think this relationship has potential.
Hi. How's it going?
You're obviously having a bad hair day.
If she can just get rid of those other guys in her life.
Stab him in the heart!
Christy Swanson.
I am so sure.
Donald Sutherland. Paul Rubens. With Rutger Hauer and Luke Perry.
Buffy, you're not like other girls.
Yes, I am.
Buffy, the Vampire Slayer.
I didn't even break a nail.
Directed by Fran Rubel Kazooie.
And I've just concluded the first entire film from beginning to end viewing of Buffy the Vampire Slayer from 1992. And, it's a bit of fun. I'm not going to say that... Well, let's just be glad that the television series did come afterwards. Because it's... I can't say it's poorly paced. I mean, it's a nice, brisk 90 minutes, but you can definitely tell there's not leaving a lot of room for actually developing the character. It doesn't feel like a 3-week journey for Buffy in becoming the Slayer. just feels like, it's just one big montage almost. Like that's how it was cut. So I guess you'd say the director would be the blame for that one, not necessarily the writer, Joss Whedon. But a lot of the writing, though, feels like, okay, so everybody's a Valley person, and you don't get enough balance from your Luke Perry and your David Arquettes to, make the Valley Girl feel, as in Valley Girl the movie, feel right. So it's just a fun little mess, I guess you'd say. Now, my remembering it coming out in the 90s was basically mom showing it off to my little sister, and my little sister doing all the cheerleading stuff. So I guess it's quite empowering for little girls to see this movie and realize, you could be more than just what everybody expects of you. So that's a plus. But as I say, it's just so sloppily put together. It kind of just, it's not a good film. As I say, fun, yes, but just doesn't really feel overly thought out. Like, this is a premise, and let's get to A to B, and let's not really think about how we do it, is how it kind of feels. Paul Rubens is great in his supporting role, and, I really need to research that guy more to see if he is honestly more Pee-wee with his voice, because I remember that being in Below, or if he is, more of his own person. And, I guess I was kind of disappointed with Rutger Hauer this viewing. It just feels like he knew, this is a paycheck, and he's just hamming it up. And, I mean, that's more than what he did for Argento's Dracula. But, it just kind of feels like a paycheck grab for him. He's fun, but not the Rutger Hauer I love, I suppose. So, this is just a fun little, it's a nice little distraction, good background noise. And I could see, why it was so popular, or popular enough to be expanded upon. But if you're going back in time, wanting to introduce somebody to the Buffy the Vampire franchise, let's just stick with the series, I suppose.
Hold on to your butts.
Is the Ryback name cursed?
I was thinking that in my research, which consists of just watching a bunch of different YouTube videos and movie clips, because I couldn't find my copy of it. Okay. It's one of those, I do have a copy of it because I got that from my mother-in-law, because she loves Seagal movies. Mm-hmm. In fact, this is one of those movies that every time it's on TV, she has to watch it, no matter how much time is left.
Yeah, Oh, and it's once you once you get to the hostage taking, it's like then horrible. Well, I think actually that's one of the best grenade uses is when they tried to go to the door.
Yeah, that I don't really have a whole lot negative to poo-poo on it. That was a decent use of a grenade, and an semi-accurate use.
Yeah, well, the helicopter too. It's basically you put the paint thinner, you let it go into the tank, and then the fuse. They
definitely did their homework on, like, doing this in a microwave, bomb. Doing this in a backpack, bomb. Doing this with the grenade, different kind of bomb.
Yeah, just the grenade is not a bomb.
Yeah,
it's a projectile.
Yeah, it's a piece of the bomb in this case.
Right. Well, but I'm just saying, make everything clear. It's
when you do it in most movies, this big fireball, like, that's not how this works.
Yeah. The only time I could really say I've seen it otherwise is Boys of Company C.
Yeah,
and that's only because the finale where the guy falls on the grenade, and it's like,
a lot of war movies get grenades fairly accurate. I mean, you have some that blow, even they blow it, but yeah.
I mean, this isn't Commando, but Commando is just so much fun.
So good.
Yes.
So good.
Like, no, you don't put a claymore that way. It even says it on it.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, again, former military here. I've played with these before. It says right on the front of a claymore mine, an explosive projectile. This end toward enemy.
Yes.
So yeah, that's not. If you're reading that, you're wrong.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We didn't see. Maybe he took the time to fly, walk around, and then move on. I don't think so. But I think about Schwarzenegger movies, and it's like he always had like a minority as the chick.
Yeah.
And, like the hottest woman in one of his movies was Sharon Stone.
Yeah.
And she's not like.
I think that goes back to a little, inside Arnie's psyche.
Well, okay, that one, yes. I'm just saying Stallone never really had. Well, that goes back to Cobra, I would say. Yeah.
I was just about to say,
yeah.
Have you forgotten Cobra?
Right. Like, yeah. It's that again. That's with the Cosmatos, which is the one we just got to do, just so we can do, so we can.
We have to do it. It's the only way I think we're ever going to get the movie Holy Grail that we wanted to talk about for so long.
Right.
Talking about.
Yeah. But that was again, like I know he worked with Stallone on Rambo 2, and granted, Stallone's a director anyhow.
Right.
Yeah.
So, he got into the business directing and acting at the same time.
Right. Well, writing, and then it's basically, I mean, he bet on himself. It's like,
no, yeah,
you want this story, I got to be the guy to play him.
I wrote it,
Yeah, that's which for my professional wrestling zombie comedy, if I can get away from being the guy behind the camera, more than happy. I just want to get the movie made. It can be done in a weekend.
I understand. I have a book that I've been trying to write for almost 20 years, and I just got to get it done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've wrote the screenplay. I made the mistake of copywriting it, so.
Oh.
Like, oh, yeah, well, no, it's a good idea, but you own this story, and we're not going to. We're not necessarily going to pay you. It's like basically, it's like I want to put enough out there so I could sue somebody for it.
Right.
But yeah. So I wrote the first draft, wrote the second draft, copyrighted the second draft, and then it's like, and then I'm dealing with like, oh yeah, you wrote it like it's a '90s action movie. How many chicks are in the movie? So yeah, the current treatment I've done a lot of gender swapping. But
there you
go. Oh yeah, no, it was basically like you get my Tarantino tribute scene. Just a bunch of guys at a table arguing that Jeff Bridges and Kurt Russell are interchangeable. As a kid growing up in the 80s,
sure,
there was no difference. They didn't really become like icons until the 90s, I'd say.
Right.
And now we're at the hallway fight.
Okay.
And they open it with dropping the it looked like it was just the air tanks.
Yeah, and also at one point,
there's going to be nitrogen in those. Yeah, they're compressed.
Be something in that, and also they're unsecured. Very easy to unsecure the air tanks. But also, at one point for some reason a random metal girder with a sharp edge just hanging.
Yes,
and also with a quick release knot.
Yeah, no,
that's Ex Machina at its best.
Yes. And of course we killed the black guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a 90s movie, man.
Yeah.
Black sidekick always went.
Yep.
And some people could say this entire movie is his fault. Because he is the one that doesn't show his gear, because they show the centerfold of Jordan Tate, and his boner caused him to break military regs and land a Chinook helicopter full of bad guys because homeboy had the hots for the Playboy model.
He looks a little too old to make that mistake.
I don't know. I mean, he played a college student the very next year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, in the program. Right.
Program, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, black don't crack.
Very true.
But it's like, I'm just saying if it was our little lieutenant who was responsible for keeping Ryback in the meat locker.
He wasn't even a lieutenant. He was an ensign.
No, I'm sorry, private.
No.
Which is like,
this is military talk with Andrew here for a moment.
Yeah, well, no, I hear them say private.
That is the lowest form of scum in the Navy ranking as far as officers are concerned.
Well, no, I know, obviously,
I'm not saying it's the lowest rank, because it is also the lowest rank, but ensigns are just all despised because they all think they're admirals already.
Okay.
And you have this in the military too. Sometimes you get a butter bar, which is what we call a second lieutenant. That's the lowest officer rank in the Army.
Yeah.
And they're called butter bars because their rank insignia is just one gold bar.
Okay.
These guys come in thinking they know everything, when really the only reason they outrank a bunch of people that know more than them is
a 4-year degree.
They are non-commissioned, and you went to college.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, just go back to Aliens, Yep. Gorman.
Yep.
Now it is funny to see the guy from Ace Ventura trying to, like, I just saw him put the Uzi up, and he's like,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know it's an automatic weapon, and there's not going to be much kick, but as I say, this is
Roger Predactor there with the Uzi. Yeah, again, it had a great '90s cast. It had Alvin Max in the Program, Roger Predactor, Ken from Street Fighter. It had
I was thinking Blood In, Blood Out, but
yeah.
Again, West Studi though.
Yep. Oh yeah.
That's the weird stuff when you have other definite minorities playing very different minorities.
Yeah.
Like, I get a Japanese, I mean, it's not appropriate, but I understand a Japanese guy
playing a Korean
Chinese guy, Kerry Horiki Shang Tsung.
Yep. I mean, not appropriate, but
it's kind of a horizontal move. It's like Stephanie was getting on me. Russ, watch your ethnic slurs. What? I'm talking white people. White people, wops, mix. My daughter does not need to know different shades of vanilla.
But again, it's just I get it, but I guess we've just become so comfortable with like cracker and honky per se that we start going into the different
ethnicities,
varieties of white.
Yeah. Sorry, I grew up again. I was in the, I was not in the military. I was in wrestling, and it's like,
well, again, I was raised
identity.
I was raised by a biker and a trucker who was raised by a Marine and John Wayne movies. I get it.
Right. No, I'm just saying I was, I'm in the wrestling business. Everything's based on ethnicity.
Exactly.
Like I've played up the fact my last name is Stevens, and one of my biggest rivals was his name was Jester, but he was a 30. I'm 23. He's 30. He was 33 at the time. Ginger, pale ass person. Like I famously put on commentary once when I had a broken wrist, and it's like I'm doing this and making a joke about, Jester's just a drunk in the ring. What do you come on, that's uncalled for. Look, if it walks like an Irishman and talks like an Irishman, it's a drunk.
Only because I have family who is Irish. Yes.
Oh no, I have a tattoo on my so I have a Pokemon wrestling related tattoo. It's again playing up my English heritage, and I'm a quarter Irish anyhow, but I digress. So I went and got Bulbasaur on my left arm doing the Vine Whip, because that's the arm you go and grab and whip somebody with.
Sure.
And to make it Irish, I put the St. Patrick cross flag behind it. Unfortunately, St. Patrick cross looks exactly like the state of Alabama's flag.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to comment on that.
So I have a tattoo on the back of my shoulder saying better Mick than Hick.
Nice.
Like, and the little Hadian's heart between it, but yeah. So, all right. So I think let's see, we got. But thinking about Irishman, again, Cole Meany, Tommy Lee Jones, and again, it comes back to wrestling for me. It's like you don't want to be the villain,
right?
Because like Cole Meany, it should have ended the movie.
Yeah.
Instead, he decides like to gloat about it.
Yeah.
And
he says the line, "I wish you were cooking for us." Instead of just going pew pew,
yeah,
he had to get the late 80s, 90s one line.
Right. Yep.
And then he gets taken out by a girl who's famous for showing her boobs.
Right. I mean, I do appreciate. Oh, you'll be dating rock stars, and
yeah. I mean, it was a good callback. It was a pretty funny joke.
Yeah. But and then like again, like Tommy Lee Jones could have nuked Honolulu, no problem.
Yeah.
Instead, you got a monologue, and then I look at it from me being a professional wrestler, primarily doing heel work, and everybody said, "Well, you never were a great heel because you just knew you could look at you and just knew you wanted to be the baby face." It's kind of like, we're all the hero of our own story, but
yeah.
But yeah, and I guess that just really ties down to psychology. And I'm still trying to figure out what happened to the guy who fell and got tied up with the ropes around his ankle. And he's just hanging there dead.
I think he just hung out there until he probably went either unconscious or just died.
Right, but it's like
would eventually pop off.
Yeah, but it's like you had plenty of time to go and start trying to sit up.
Yeah, he was probably still hanging there when they did the end of the movie, which when we get there, I want to address one little detail.
Okay. So, let's see. Oh, thinking about Erica Laniak and like, oh yeah, first bomb shell in action. I mean, she still got it. I mean, she's only
she's in her early 50s.
Early 50s, yep.
Like 53, 4 somewhere.
Right.
Still very hot, very attractive. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, it's nice that someone I had a crush on when I was a teenager, I can still have a crush on when I'm 40, and it's okay.
Yes. Yep. Well, I go back to like when everybody was making a big deal about Ashton Kutcher marrying Demi Moore. It's like, if I could go and marry Demi.
Again, I had seen striptease.
And it's not even. I mean, and I hadn't seen striptease. I did see About Last Night, so that's got some great nudity with her.
Yeah, it's got a couple shots. Yeah,
it's like, no, it's like if I could get.
Yeah, she's a very attractive woman.
Yeah, I mean that's what I grew up with.
Successful woman.
Yeah,
little goofy from what I hear, but whatever. I'm not exactly a prince.
I mean, yes, I can understand Ashton Kutcher then, leaving her for Mila Kunis, but it's like, no, I shouldn't understand that because that's wrong. But
it's wrong. But again, guys being the pigs that we are,
yes,
I will admit it, ladies, we are pigs.
Oh yeah, no,
yeah, I mean, we have vintage hot chick, but now we have up and coming new hot chick.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry. Most of us are going to make the wrong decision every time.
I can't say I hadn't personal experience. Like,
yeah.
Like, well, what do you expect me to do when I was in the VIP room with the plastic surgery?
Poster child for plastic surgery. Yeah.
Like, I'm not. I'm not going. I didn't say I did anything to encourage it. I wasn't going to stop it.
I just didn't say no.
Yes. Yeah, and telling her, well, you were in the VIP with a chick the previous week.
Oh yeah, that always works.
Yeah.
Well, you did it too. We're not talking about me. We're talking about you.
No, I was young and I was young, and it's like second girlfriend in my life.
Oh yeah, we all do dumb.
Yeah, it's like, well, I did this. I want to just come out and clean about it. And it's like, no, when your parents give you the advice, why the hell did you?
Yeah,
we're not angry. We could be angry at you for treating her like that. We're more angry at you for acknowledging it.
I grew up in the 80s and 90s, the pinnacle of television dads. We had Mr. Seaver on Growing Pains, we had Uncle Phil, we had Carl Winslow, we had Danny Tanner, great television dads. Then we had my dad. My father, I came home from being at a place I shouldn't have been one night with a girl whose father did not like me, and he found me, and he fired buckshot at me, which I found in my wallet, which literally saved my butt.
Yeah.
But I come home, I don't have a shirt on. I'm covered in straw. I've been, my pants pocket has a hole in it. My dad asked what happened, and I told him what happened, and he just started laughing. And I was like, "You're an idiot," or you're like telling me, like, "Look, you shouldn't do this, but." If you're going to do this, you need to do it like this.
Yes,
that was my dad. It wasn't the meaningful talks that you'd have with Danny Tanner on the couch.
No, it's
with Carl Winslow in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's like, if you're gonna do something stupid, don't get caught.
Yeah. And here's how you do it to make sure it actually works.
Right. No, that's good fathers. I mean, that's
definitely.
Yeah. No, not. All right. So, okay, let's see. Suppressor continuity.
Yep.
Is there a bad movie where a throat gets ripped out?
No, because I love Roadhouse.
I like the gory Rambo 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely ways that they've done it where it looks ridiculous.
Yes.
So from a look standpoint, yes, there's bad ones, but from a did we need this in a movie standpoint, the answer is always yes.
Yes. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yes. I mean, some of them look ridiculous, but I'm still glad it showed up to the party.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just that further makes you hate that Disney owns Marvel.
Yeah.
We're not going to see, like, that's the only thing Logan was missing. Like,
yeah.
Perfect movie.
We just need that one little, that's all we needed. That one little quick pow.
Right.
There's an esophagus, Yeah.
Feel bad about Hoyd. I think it's Hoyd Holbrook. He was the second in command in that movie, Robotic Arm. I saw him. Yeah, I saw him at Wizard World.
Okay.
And, like, nobody came to his panel.
Oof.
Like, this is.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean,
at Wizard World, no one went to it.
Yeah. Well, Fan Expo officially now, but right.
But still, like, that should be his people.
Yeah, I mean, I got away. Like, I bombed my Clerks reunion joke, not joke, question. It's basically, though, it's like I'm in line and then somebody asked it, and it's like, fudge. But I didn't say fudge.
I would call back to Chris's story from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But no, I give you the props for even doing that, because I'm such a Kevin Smith fanboy that I wouldn't even had the cojones to talk to him.
Well, the thing with Kevin Smith
in front of other people.
Well, okay, yeah, in front of other people. It wasn't the Jay and Silent Bob Get Old podcast, which I was there for, which I got introduced to the Universal Church Life Church because Smith married somebody there, and it's like, you know what? I'm gonna just go and make, like, they used the Green Lantern to give the Green Lantern core for the vows, so it's like, all right, I'm not a religious, I'm an atheist, but it's like when somebody at my retailer buys something, I hope this works, I'll go and bless it. Yeah, it might not mean anything to me.
No,
it could mean the world to you.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's but no, the thing is with Kevin Smith, though, is like when I was in the autograph line, which I had to get at, like, I showed up, I think an hour and a half, maybe 2.5 hours. Like, I got my ticket, I'm getting through. And
that's like, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, well, there's so many delays and everything, and it's like, basically you got people, and like, that's just it. Kevin Smith is far too personable a person.
yes, that is what would be the downfall in that situation.
Yeah.
He's going to take 20 minutes to talk, at least 20 minutes to talk to everybody.
Right. So I feel bad,
he just loves talking to people that much.
Yeah. And it's like, so you want me to personalize it or just tag it when I got there? It's like, you can just tag it. And it's like, I could have gone and talked his ear off for 5 minutes, but how do I get on the Smodcast? Come on. I mean, there was I found a lot of podcasts back when Nerdist was pretty much just hiring anybody.
Yes, yeah.
So that's
I like the Smodcast. My favorite is Hollywood Babylon that he does with Ralph Garman.
Yeah, I hear that's really great. I've pretty much only listened to the Smodcast, and that was years ago.
The Smodcast is wonderful. The main difference with Hollywood Babylon is, one, they're talking about specific Hollywood topics, and two, they do it in front of a live studio audience that is being served copious amounts of alcohol.
Right. Yeah, I'm surprised that because I saw Clerks 3, the Fathom event.
Opening night. I got it for Christmas. I haven't seen it yet. Do not spoil it for me, universe.
I'm not. I'm just saying, I hear a lot of people Gregory Carl, consistent guest on the show, I heard people say this sucked, and it's no, it's just the end.
It's a Kevin Smith movie, and I heard he wrapped it up beautifully in a bow.
Yes, it's the end. That's what, and I just don't. I think it's just the thing, people want their characters to just always be their characters. They don't want the characters. They don't want
change. They don't want to have a complete arc.
Right. Yeah.
It becomes a full circle.
Right. No, these guys are 30 years. These guys aren't 26-year-olds.
Yeah,
anymore.
These guys are in their 50s. They're not going to want to be playing these characters when they need a walker and a pacemaker.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, the only people who like Kevin Smith movies anyway, for the most part, are Kevin Smith fans.
That's true.
Which like any fan group has its Star
Wars. I mean, it has its toxic members. Right. Oh no, toxic members and Smiths are awful. But I'm just saying, when you say, are Kevin Smith fans, I don't think Chasing Amy fans, those were people just looking for something queer in the late 90s.
I was a Kevin Smith fan before I saw that movie.
No, I was there too. But I'm just saying,
it's got both ends of the coin.
Mallrats would have made a lot of money if people wanted to see a Kevin Smith movie.
Right.
Zack and Miri Makes a Porno. That's considered one of his better movies.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the Kevin Smith. I mean, it's got the Kevin Smith handprints.
Yeah, with the exception of Muse and Jeff Anderson, it doesn't even have the typical people you see in Kevin Smith.
There's no Silent Bob. Period. No Kevin Smith in it.
I mean, it's like you said, it's got his thumbprints all over it.
Right, but I'm just saying, you could go and see that. You could go and see that movie, and you're not seeing it because of Kevin Smith. You're seeing it because
it's a goofy, raunchy rom-com.
Yes, and obviously Red State has a lot of supporters, because that's definitely not something you expect from Kevin Smith.
Yeah, Red State and even Tusk.
Oh no, Tusk.
When you get into Yoga Hosers, that's more of a Kevin Smith movie.
Yes, and I liked Yoga Hosers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very much Kevin Smith does a B movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, we had a goalie, golem, and Bratzies.
Yes,
which is the greatest word ever created. By the way.
Right. Yeah, and plenty of callbacks. I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Oh, I mean, at this point, he can. I mean, a lot of his. I went and saw the Fathom event for Jay and Silent Bob
reboot. Yeah.
And people are like, well, it's a lot of fan service. Yeah, it is.
So that's what you're there for.
That's the point.
Yes.
You're there to be rewarded for being a fan of a 20-year-old movie that still rocks.
Yeah, 25 at that time.
Well, no, they were doing Jane and Bob Strike Back, and that came out in 2001. So it's all
Yeah, but
it's not even...
2019 is 25 years after Clerks.
After Clerks. I mean, yeah, we're celebrating all of his movies, of course, but yeah.
I mean,
the
only thing that's really not fan service is the Chris Hemsworth jokes. Which is fan service, but
which is fan service in another way, but it also fit the movie perfectly.
Yes,
it's just because it kind of called out the ridiculousness of some of these cons.
Right. Oh, I'd let him make me Thor.
Yeah, I laughed way too hard when I heard that joke because my wife is a big Hemsworth fan, and I've heard that joke before.
Is it only Chris? I do have to be curious about that. I mean, because Liam is a nice, good-looking guy. I like Luke.
Yeah, I mean, none of them are ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, any one of these guys could walk into any bar USA and come out with at least 2 on an arm. I mean,
well, if I'm not in the bar, because I'm going to shout out some Kiwi bullshit and hopefully start a fight.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, fights notwithstanding,
yes,
if their purpose was to get in, get a friend for the night, and leave, any one of those dudes could pull this off in a half hour tops.
Mm-hmm. Which makes you wonder what the alpha Hemsworth looks like.
I'm picturing Chris from Love and Thunder, like super ripped Chris, only like the size of Brock Lesnar.
Oof. Yeah, no, that's the only way I could think of. That has to be what their father looks like.
Yeah, that's got to be Alpha Hemsworth.
Yeah,
and they don't even call him father; they do call him Alpha.
Yeah. So I'm almost through my notes. So we have launched the missile.
Okay.
For some reason, I don't know why Pitt, the computer nerd, is even out there. No. I know he was told to get out of the room, but it's like, I'm finding a lifeboat.
Yeah, like bail. Like I'm outie. I'm outie 5,000. But like I have no problem. Like some people are like, well, why could they shoot down one missile with a jet and they couldn't shoot down the second one?
Well, because it was these things are going. Yeah.
Well, for 2 reasons. One, yeah, like you were saying, the speed of how it was going. This one was also like very close to land, so they didn't want to risk collateral damage.
Yeah.
And for 2, you wouldn't have a really good ending of the movie if you didn't do it that way, dummy.
Right. Yeah.
Like sometimes people kind of forget that they're watching movies and not stuff that could actually happen.
Right. My big problem.
First rule of action movies: unplug your brain.
Yes. Well, my big problem was when they shot down the FA-18
with the shoulder launched grenade.
No, the shoulder launched grenades. That was the
the helicopter.
Helicopter. Right. No, the F-18 that finds the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why was there only one?
Yeah, where was his
wingman?
Wingman, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
they you don't go like
it was Cougar and Maverick.
Yeah, every guard duty I ever pulled in the military, I wasn't the only one there.
Yeah,
I had at least one other person. You always do everything in twos.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Predators even learned that by the 3rd movie.
It took them 3 movies.
Yeah. And then they screwed all up in the 4th, but the 4th is just a fun thing to laugh at.
Again, yeah, unplug brain. Pour glass.
Well, the problem is they asked you to put your brain into it, though.
Well, that's why if you're gonna leave your brain plugged in, at least get a bottle of an adult beverage.
Yes, or I just don't. Yeah, I just say I don't. I mean, I don't know why I don't partake more in marijuana like during the day. It's like because I did some stupid shit back when I was dealing with junkies.
Sure.
Yeah. Not to say that I never was addicted to heroin. It's not like I didn't do heroin. And then something bad happened. The problem was something always bad would happen afterwards that I got to go and try cleaning up. And it's like,
I grew up again in central rural Indiana, meth capital of the Midwest.
Okay, all right.
All my teeth are here.
Yes,
they're all here.
No, I'm just saying every middle of middle of the state,
fair,
calls himself the meth capital of the world.
But we had the stats to prove it for a while.
Yeah, but everybody's got their it's a title belt.
We had our title belt run for a couple of years, and then it went to, I believe, around Peoria. Pekin.
Yep. Oh, 10 miles.
We had our run. But but anyway, all my teeth are here. My arms, the only thing on them are tattoos, and where I dropped flaming hot food on them.
Right.
I am a booze dude. I am a herbal supplement dude, and I found out that I could be a Vicodin and fentanyl dude, but that's why I don't do those.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I actually lost my best friend to heroin addiction. So, and that's center of all my trauma. Sure. I could have been the most. I grew up as a 1%er, not knowing I was a 1%er, so I could have had a nice, comfy life.
Exactly. For me, guys, I know this is not a visual component, but I look like Sasquatch.
Yeah, that's part of another handle on your Twitter.
Yeah. I know what I look like. No, I don't do all those things.
Yes.
I mean, have I gotten drunk and passed out in a Waffle House at 2 a.m.? Absolutely.
Okay, that's one of those. Who hasn't? But
you'd be surprised.
I've passed out, but I've always known the bartenders well enough that they got I hear a cup of coffee hit right by my head.
I had the perfect system set up for a while. The bar I would go to every Friday and Saturday, they knew me pretty well. As soon as I walk in, before I got my first drink, I would just hand my keys to the bartender. I would proceed to get hammered. I'd go pass out in my car.
Yep.
A couple hours later, when the bartender would get off work, she would open up my gas hatch, place the keys in there, close it, and go home. Another hour or two, I'd wake up. I'd get my keys. There's a Waffle House a quarter of a mile across the road. I'm going there, eating all the hash browns and greasy food to work what's this off, and then I'm going home.
Yeah. Oh no. I'm just saying, for my heroin experiences and myself, it was one of those. It's stupid train spotting stuff. In all honesty, what is the big deal? It eventually became
right.
And then it did it, and it's this is fucking awesome.
He's launched the missiles. Have we gotten to the fight?
Yeah. We're past the. Yeah, we're concluding now. The fight.
I'll do a quick thing on the knife fight.
Yeah.
That style looks amazing on film.
Mm-hmm.
Practicality. Unless you're like one of them really good like the Filipino style of knife fighting that way. Unless you're an expert at that stuff don't work.
No, I've had to defend myself against a knife before. It's very much
right.
Expect to get cut, and you better grab it right away.
And then, so are we to the part where everyone's kind of toward the end of the movie, and everyone's all in their uniforms all of a sudden?
Almost. They've just killed the last.
Oh, okay.
And then there should have been a little more drama. Call off your bombers! Call off your bombers! And then everybody's
But I appreciate that, because that's fairly realistic.
Yeah,
it'd be hey, please do not have anybody, because again, those bombers, they don't have to get right by you. They can get you from 100 miles away.
Right.
So it's hey, the sooner you call these homies off, the less likelihood we're gonna.
Right, but I'm just saying they're all doing their celebrating, and it's
right.
I think that one should have been before you
But before we're hugging and kissing the secretaries in the background, maybe we should have made sure the bombers are at ease, boys.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah.
And then you have the obligatory kiss between Seagal and the bombshell that he's treated like crap, or in a daughterly capacity.
Oh, that's again. Yeah.
Well, Steven Seagal requested a stripper character for this movie.
Oh, geez. You see,
he asked for this, and then he also helped pick who was playing her.
You see, I went and looked over his IMDb, over this movie's IMDb. Oh, and I will say, the Onion movie is worth a watch. He's got a recurring sketch called Steven Seagal Cock Puncher. And leave it at that.
That's pretty much all you need to know right there.
Yeah. So I went and looked at who wrote this, and it's like he's just a trash writer. I mean, this is
the guy who wrote it writes garbage. The director had very little control over Steven Seagal because no one ever had control on Steven Seagal. So he basically like demanded that we put a chick in the movie. Okay,
right.
I'm
well,
not. That's fine.
It's a necessity.
But then it's like, oh, she's a stripper, and I get to help pick her out.
Oh, jeez, that's yeah. I think he was still with LeBrock by this point.
He was, I believe he was, and he, of course, not only does she have to be a stripper, they filmed like the scene that he's in is the scene where we've all paused it. It's the weak spot on our VHS where the boobs come out.
I know.
And then even later, when she's getting changed, when she won't get stuffed in a locker for the rest of the movie,
you
didn't even have the decency to turn around and talk to her while she's like uncomfortable and trying to get dressed and not show her boobs. He's just staring at her like leering, like, "Let me see her."
This guy, I think the last movie he really did was Dead or Alive, which I bought a copy cheap. Based off of the video game, which I still claimed, like, I sent Tecmo a idea for a video game written all in pencil called Dead or Alive, a fighting game. And then there's just little things that, like, I didn't really think about it after I sent it. I got the rejection letter. We don't take outside ideas. And then I was a Dreamcast guy. I was there $99.99.
Oh yes. Oh god, I remember those commercials.
And then I within the year you had Dead or Alive 2, and it's like, why does this sound so familiar?
Oh wait.
Yeah. It's like, oh, the Tina character. And that was my idea. She looks like Vendela from the swimsuit issue in 94. Tina is a nickname for the girl I was obsessed with in junior high. You got a guy who looks like Hollywood Hogan. And I sent it to Tecmo because I wanted to use Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden.
Huh.
And he's in the game. So it's like, I'm not, as I say, I sent it as a 14-year-old in pencil. Sure. Like, I can't claim it's mine.
Right. You have no dog in this fight. You have nothing to prove anything.
But that's probably the center of, like, I say my best friend dying of heroin overdose was the trauma, who's had a similar haircut to a Laniac in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was a typical late 80s, early 90s
haircut. Yeah. No, I'm definitely into the pixie cuts, period.
Oh, yeah. It was a nice... I mean, the funny thing is her hair has always kind of been... Even now, her hair is kind of like that, and it works for her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not everyone can rock a pixie cut for almost 30 years.
No. So the thing that really threw me off was I was watching, to prepare for this, I was watching the Bad Movie Bible on YouTube.
Okay.
And this guy's done a book about bad movies anyhow that he's pretty much what the channel was promoting. But it was a 2-part episode on tryhards.
Ah, yes.
So, and no, this resulted me in buying a, like, you know what? I'm trying to find all these movies mentioned on streaming services or Netflix DVD, and no luck. Well, let me try searching Amazon for a disc. Oh, $11? Sure, I'll buy this thing called shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's got Brian. It's like Kim Coates is the villain. I think Brian.
Another
underappreciated
character actor.
Yeah. So but I did write down a bunch of tryhards that I have seen and haven't and should, I suppose. But like, Passenger 57, which is Die Hard on a plane.
Speed, Die Hard on a bus.
Speed, kind of like the thing with the try hard idea on this was that, like, basically, okay, he's supposed to be where he's supposed to be.
Sure.
Keanu Reeves there.
It wasn't the typical try hard formula of right dude in the wrong place at the right/wrong time. Yeah.
Right.
But Speed kind of unfairly gets saddled in with the rest of them because it does have the on a bus element.
No, Speed 2 is probably closer to it.
Yeah, Speed 2 is definitely Triumph.
Okay, so let's see. Ones that I've seen: Passenger 57, No Contest with Roddy Piper and Shannon Tweed.
Yes.
Point Blank, that's Danny Trejo versus Mickey Rourke in a mall.
I've not seen that one. I've heard I don't need to see it either.
Yeah, Blast, which was pretty much like I didn't realize how bad it was until I watched this video. I mean, I knew it was a bad movie.
Sure.
But this is Eddie Griffin.
Oh gosh.
As
like Malcolm and Eddie.
Yeah.
Okay.
As your hero, Breckenmeyer.
Oh wow.
Vinnie Jones is the bad guy, which is about the most.
Well, okay, I mean, okay, that saves it.
That's on an oil. That's on an oil rig.
Okay. There's a reason the only other Eddie Griffin starring picture is
Undercover Brother.
Undercover Brother, and also I'll throw. No, he wasn't in Talk to Me. Never mind.
Double Take.
Double Take. Yes.
Yeah, with Orlando Jones, which is one of those like, how do we drop the ball on that guy? Like, he definitely should have been the next Ernie Hudson at the very least.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like he had that good streak in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then he just screwed it up.
Yep. Turbulence 3 was a try hard, and I forgot that Rutger Hauer was in it.
Oh God, yeah, he was in that one, wasn't he?
Yeah, the heavy metal the Manson knockoff concert, "Save the Day" by Craig Schaefer, and what's it, Gabriel Anwar is the FBI agent who catches the hacker, and of course, Die Hard 2 is Die Hard essentially at an airport.
Yeah, Die Hard at an airport,
like, which is kind of like Die Hard with a Vengeance is awesome.
Yeah, well, I even like Die Hard with a Vengeance and
Live Free or Die Hard
wasn't bad either.
But they weren't the formula, besides for wrong place, wrong time. And wrong
place, wrong time is always going to be
but you don't have the gimmick.
He wasn't really in the wrong place and wrong time with the Vengeance, though. Like he was the target. The whole point was to make him do Wild Goose Chase.
Yes. And Live Free or Die Hard, but
wrong place, wrong time.
Well, but that's all over the place, so it's not like
right. And we
won't
talk about the fifth one. That one didn't need to happen.
It did not need to happen. I don't mind it.
I've seen it twice.
Okay.
I can't do it.
Okay.
Do nothing for me.
Okay, of course we have Sudden Death at the arena with Van Damme.
Yeah, that one. It also doesn't hurt that I'm a hockey guy.
Yeah.
And two of my favorite teams are the teams in that movie.
Right. I'm like I got the Blackhawks and Flyers personally, but
I was a Penguins guy growing up. I'm a Blackhawks fan now.
Yeah, so it's like for me, I was a Blackhawks fan growing up, but I didn't really care much. Like I have always loved my Peoria Rivermen. And since we were like minor, like I hate St. Louis, necessarily
as we should,
not necessarily the town.
No, but your sports teams and your sports fans.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, the fans especially.
Yeah, almost more than the teams.
Yes. But yeah, the Rivermen were always the Blues farm system, so
sure.
I wasn't. Yeah, like no, you don't need to go. Why would you want to get called up to St. Louis?
Right.
So the Flyer, so when 2010 came along, it's like, well, no, my favorite team was probably the 98-99 Dallas Stars, because it basically had all the guys that I grew up loving.
Sure.
On that one, it was a super team. Sure. Eddie Belfour,
and everyone knew it.
Eddie Belfour, Brett Hull. Mike Modano back when who was there when it was the North Stars.
Yeah.
Okay. So when the playoffs came along, it's like the Philadelphia is the is why I love the attitude is why I love minor league hockey.
Exactly.
So of course I'm cheering for the Flyers over the Blackhawks. And then, you just fall into we know these guys now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did not see Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain with Hulk Hogan.
Oh
Jim
God.
Varney.
That I did not see that one either. That's, I believe, the only Three Ninjas movie I didn't see.
I think they still had Egg from that one though.
I don't remember. I don't remember if Egg was in that one or not. I don't know if
Yeah.
he was in the grandpa thing.
Toy Soldiers, which is just great.
Oh yeah.
Bad. It's not bad. It's just like this is too ridiculous to even.
Again, turn off brain, great action.
I mean, we all wanted to see Will Wheaton die anyhow.
Shut up, Wesley.
Okay, Under Siege, Dark Territory, Die Hard, and the Train.
No,
and I
Train.
listed Lockout with Guy Pearce.
Okay,
but that's not really a try. Well, it's not really a try hard because they send him up there to save the day.
Again, it kind of falls into the speed, like it is, but it isn't.
Right. So, and
like,
it's fun, but it's only you can really only watch it once.
Sure, that's all. Yeah, a lot of the tryhards, the true tryhards, you don't need to have a marathon watching party or watching them religiously. Speed I like to watch every once in a while.
But
Die Hard, of course, if I see it, I'm watching it.
Oh yeah. Needless to say, though, I've probably got 5 movies I haven't seen that I put on my Tubi that I'm like taking notes as I'm watching this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, Lockout's got probably one of the best one-liners in all action. It's like, so who's the guy who did this? His name was Smack You. And he gets punched across the face. Yeah, he was a Chinese guy. But thinking about tryhards now, I did recently watch Bullet Train.
I want to see that. I haven't seen it. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's basically Deadpool without Deadpool.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, same director, same kind of humor.
Again, you know me, and like, come on, who's on my show?
Yeah. So, and even Ryan Reynolds still shows up in the movie, but you got Zazie Beetz has a role.
Sure,
like everybody from and it's one of those things. I think I have not watched the movie Nobody.
Oh, with
Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, with Odenkirk. I haven't seen that one either. Again,
yeah, I picked it up like the moment I saw it for like $10 digitally. Oh yeah, I'm buying that. Oh yeah, it's gonna be free on whatever streaming service in a month. No. But it's one of those things like my little brother was telling, oh, you gotta watch it. I know you're not gonna like it. There is a scene where they just I don't know if you have an English football club or not.
I don't have one that I like. Okay. I like to watch football.
Yeah. We're talking soccer, right?
Yes, we are talking what us uncultured swine in America call soccer.
Simon Whistler kind of told me like, no, the English called it when they invented it, called it soccer, and then everybody else called it football, and they just caved. We caved. Like there's if I say, but every football club has their weird song.
Sure. Oh yes.
Yeah. Have you seen Green Street Hooligans?
I was gonna say that when we were talking earlier about when two movie nerds find like that one movie, that's my one movie for a long time.
Yeah.
That like people know it now, but like for the first 10 years out, it was kind of one of those things that
right.
You hear about it from somebody who's seen it, one of those things.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I love that movie, and yes, they have the weird song associated with their football club.
Yeah, it plays into part of so in Nobody they had my little brother who's a big Liverpool fan says, I know you're not gonna like it, but they're gonna play. There's a great scene in slow motion where they're doing "You Never Walk Alone," and then they do the Bubbles song. There's a bit where they do the Bubbles song in Bulletproof.
Okay.
So, and it's funny in Bulletproof. Like I'm looking at this, like, oh, that's a pretty good English accent. No, that's not an English actor. Damn.
Mm-mm.
Couple of them. Aaron Taylor Johnson's about the only guy who's.
Well, it's like you talk about people doing the accents and you think they're from that country. Say what you will about all the drama behind the Boondock Saints movies, but I love the first one.
Yes.
And the main villain there, you would think he was a legit Italian.
Yeah.
He's British.
Yeah. Oh, never mind. I don't think the Reedus and Flannery did bad Irish accents.
No, I don't believe they did either. In fact, even when you hear the guy's name, Sean Patrick
Yeah,
Flannery.
true.
So
Yeah.
we hear him do a decent Irish accent. Okay, that tracks. So so it didn't shock me too much the first time I heard Reedus do his real accent, but the first time I saw Flannery speaking like an American, I was like, the betrayal.
So you saw Boondock Saints before you saw Suicide Kings, then?
Yes.
Okay. No, same here. I just knew I knew Patrick Flannery was in Powder because my.
See, I had seen that so long before that.
Yeah.
Didn't even pay that much attention when I saw it because I was trying to make out with a girl. This was junior high, folks.
Oh yeah, no, I was listening. So Gregory was saying, "Oh, I could do a podcast tonight." All right, Beavis and Butthead Do America. Okay, well, I gotta listen to an old podcast to see. So that took up my morning listening to the podcast. Like, did I talk about this movie when we were talking about TV to cinema?
Sure.
And of course, this is when I discovered, oh, they're only going to let me put 100 episodes on my feed. Thanks, Poppy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, so I'm digging through. So, like, all right, we're clear. But it's like, oh, shoot, I had a thought. But yeah, it's, no, I had a thought, lost it. And, we are now just talking, really, essentially.
Yeah, I kind of figured the credits are probably rolled at this point.
Oh, yeah, no, we're beyond that. So, with all that said, thank you for coming to 90 for Chill, the podcast, the listeners. Thank you, Andrew, for coming on the show. You can follow him at Couchman Bakes. Interesting YouTube videos, the very least. I did.
Yeah, Couchman Bakes on Twitter and Couchman on TikTok.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't got I'm still working on the YouTube part.
Right. Oh, YouTube's way too easy to actually get on and such.
Yeah, but have you met how dumb I am?
No, I'm not. No, I'm just saying it's like then trying to actually try doing stuff with YouTube. That's an entirely different story.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I want to be able to do it and not suck that bad.
Right. So, so if you go to the last episode, our on 90forchill.com, you can find him trying the Reese's peanut butter cup pickle. I hate pickles, so I just couldn't.
It wasn't horrible.
No, I get the dynamic of it. I'm very umami.
I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it to work as well as it did.
Oh, I thought it, like, you got chocolate. You got I love salted caramel. So
that's the thing. I'm not the biggest pickle dude.
Yeah,
like I'll put a little pickle relish on the hot dog. Maybe a pickle on the burger. I'm not, but I'm not. I'll put maybe a pickle in my Bloody Mary sometimes.
Okay, yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
So the fact that to me, it didn't think it would work. I have purposely made those for the heck of it a couple times since then. I also one of my videos, I did these little things where you put cheese in a muffin tin, put shredded cheese, you throw a couple pickle slices, throw some more cheese, little garlic, little paprika, throw it in the oven, let the cheese melt, and then you have these little pickled cheese cups.
Yeah, no, that doesn't. Again, I just hate, like, if I sense dill in any kind of thing, I'm like,
yeah.
So, all right, and of course you can follow the podcast, and there, going back and listening to that. Oh yeah, at Main Event of the Dead, Main Event Zombie. It's like, I'm obsessive compulsive, anal retentive. Like, once I got to 10,000 tweets, it was like, I don't know. Now they're not even keeping track. And then one day I wake up and it's 10.1 thousand. It's like, all right, no, this has used itself up.
Right.
Like, nobody has that much. Nobody should have that much documented stuff. So you can follow me at CatBusRuss, which is, like, all the other podcasters know me as that. Like, I tried my best to get Cool Movies Darth, the CM Darth.
You were trying very hard to make that stick.
Yeah. So, At CatBusRuss Russ on Twitter. If you want to criticize the podcast, I prefer you do it there. Otherwise, rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast apps. Help the algorithm. Give us 5 stars. I will reciprocate. My Apple username is Scoop Staley. Otherwise, if you want to be on the podcast, send an email to rustthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com. Or direct message me on Twitter. And all I need is a movie, a director, an actor, a theme. As long as we focus on sub 100-minute material, we've definitely told you how you can break the rules in this episode. Just Cosmatos, Cobra qualifies. Rambo 2 qualifies.
If we just happen to talk about
movies, hey, it happens.
Oops.
Yep. But otherwise, thank you, Stacia Hardin, for being my inspiration. As long as I can honor the dead, I guess I'm serving some purpose. And just keep an eye on everybody you touched in your life. So thanks again, Andrew, for coming on. I'll try to talk to you sooner. As I say, I mean, we're both to the point, I'd say I'm 2 years in now. You've been doing this just about as long, if not longer.
About, yeah.
It's time to get that Blue Chew money. So.
I will shill any kind of erectile dysfunction product you need me to shill, people.
Hey, Raid Shadow Legends. I knew right from the start that it was big during the holiday season. The Titles Company.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I knew it was a scam, but
whatever.
Yeah, I'm not a. I would hope my audience is smart enough to realize it too.
There you go.
Yeah. So, all right. Thanks again, Andrew, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Later, guys.
Later.
Can I hear a wahoo?